Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back. I'm JBrancatella. Original version back in the building. Anyway, what's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? Salams to anybody joining. Been traveling. I'm on the road. I'm in the hotel room right now, so I don't know how the Wi-Fi is going to be. I don't have the best setup, but had a little bit of free time, so I said, let me holler at some people, see what it is, see what's going on. As you guys know, I primarily would like to deal with Christians. What the heck is that noise? I don't know what that was. Sound like a weird noise. Anyway, yeah, I would primarily like to deal with Christians, but I'm gonna post a link here in just a second. Let's see. So make sure you guys do your part. Hit that thumbs up button, hit the like button. Share this on your social media or with your friends and family, colleagues, associates, co-workers, whatever. See if we can get some Christians up here to discuss. I doubt that we'll get very many, but we'll see what it is. Let me see what people are saying here in the chat. I'm in Vegas right now. But if anybody's in Vegas, hit me up. Send me an email or a DM, something like that. See. Thoughts on your debate with Jay Dyer? Did it go as expected? And do you think you performed well? I like the debate with Jay Dyer, actually. I don't usually do political debates. This one was more political in nature. But I've already had a kind of deep theological debate with Jay. So we already kind of got that out of our system. And that one, that initial one was kind of a long time in the coming. And it got a little hectic. It got a little fiery. But this, I'm talking about the original one, the first debate that I had with Jay. But the second one was chill. Second one was chill. And Jay and I talked off camera. He was pretty chill, to be honest. I don't think he's really that bad of a guy. I wouldn't say that at all. We had some good discussions, even off camera. But the debate itself, I think, look, even for the Christians, I got so many Christians coming up to me during the debate conference that were like, Jake, we don't agree with you, but that was such a great discussion and so informative. They really liked it, really enjoyed it. They didn't agree with everything I said, of course, but I think it was good. I really liked it much better than a debate with Michael Jones because he was just trying to get, play to the crowd too much, do stupid stuff, literally dancing on stage, trying to get clicks, trying to do stupid stuff, use crappy rhetoric, and just playing debate trick games. And also the Islamic dilemma is so retarded that it's just like, what do you do with these people? What do you do? But no, I really did like I really did enjoy the debate with Jay. I thought it was cool. Saddam from Houston. Saddam. The Jay Dyer debate is not up yet. It's supposed to go on Modern Day Debate eventually. And when it gets posted there, then I'll post it on my own channel. But I'm not sure exactly when it's going to get posted there. Gotta wait and see. Of the Christian apologists, who do you think is the biggest moron? I think it's God Logic. No, I don't think he's the biggest moron. There's a lot dumber people than him. But it depends what you mean, because there are some that are obviously not as popular as he is, but a lot dumber. So it just depends what you mean. Let's see. Okay, let me actually put a link in the chat here so we can try to get some people to come up, see what it is. Okay. Okay, let's see. I don't know why. Is the message pinned, guys? That doesn't look like it's working. Okay, it looks like it is pinned. Inshallah. Okay. Somebody said Rachel Wilson, which is Andrew Wilson's wife, I think. I think her name's Rachel, yeah. She was there. She debated some feminist woman debate. I watched, I think, most of that debate. Kind of got a little bit crazy. I was actually sitting next to Trent Horn watching that debate, and we were talking about it a little bit. I was actually originally supposed to debate Andrew Wilson instead of Jay Dyer, and then Andrew just had, I guess, too many debates on his plate, so then Jay took his place. But she said that he was teaching me history the whole time. I get why. I mean, look, she's just trying. I mean, she might actually believe that, whatever. She's trying to obviously promote and defend Jay, which is fine because they're both Orthodox Christians. But I get why it could appear that way, because most of the time during the open discussion section, it was mostly me questioning Jay. I was asking him questions, and we were allowing each other to talk. It was kind of just an open. It was just a genuine open conversation. But look, I brought my criticisms. Jay brought his, and people can watch it and make up their own mind. I don't really care what she has to say in that regard, you know. She could have her own opinion. Let's see. Guys, the link is pinned in the chat, so send this to join. Send this live out. See if we can get some Christians to join, inshallah. Let's see what else people are saying. I love you for the sake of Allah, but I love you more now that you rock a Moroccan hat. Yeah, this isn't even a new hat. I've had this for a minute. So, I mean, I wear it time to time. Somebody said, can a Muslim use a tag argument, like hold them accountable to grounding logic, truth, and things like math that come before knowledge claims? Yeah, I wouldn't use it exactly in the way that some Christian presuppositionalists use it, like Jay Dyer or even Protestants. But if you go and watch my debate with Aaron Ra, I used a form of that can be construed as tag regarding truth against Aaron Ra, and it went over his head. He was just totally lost. But so yeah, like for example, I like the argument that James Anderson uses regarding logic. I think it's a good argument. Logic and truth. Let's see what else is going on. This is the link to join, by the way, guys. It's pinned in the chat, inshallah. Let's see. Jake, you are my mentor and I love you, brother. Okay, much love. But debating Avery was wrong. The guy isn't sincere and he only wants you to use you to get clicks. This is something that we're going to really have to talk about in the Muslim community. Because it's coming a lot lately, especially with Uthman ibn Farouk taking the selfie with those 10 Christians, and Avery, I think, was one of them. Um, yeah, this is something we're going to have to talk a lot about going forward. I'm going to make a separate pre-recorded video on it, but I'm just too busy right now because traveling, and I'm not going to be back home in Morocco until next week, next Tuesday, inshallah. So make dua for me on my travels. But yeah, this does need to get discussed because I think a lot of people are confused, and at the same time, to me, just honestly, I'm not saying about this brother. I don't really know you like that, but to me, there seems to be a lot of favoritism and hypocrisy in the Muslim community in terms of the people that we criticize for debating these people, and then yet, if your favorite da'i or Muslim speaker debated one of these people at one point, you'll make an excuse. You'll say, "Oh, but it was just a one-time thing, and then it never happened again," or that was a while ago. But there's always like excuses, and to me, it's going to be an all or nothing deal. Either we say that certain people who are equipped, and it doesn't have to be me if you don't think so, I'm fine with that. But certain people who are equipped in terms of knowledge and debating skills to debate some of these vile people, either we allow that to happen, or we say that no, nobody can ever publicly debate any of these people. And I think that's a discussion as a Muslim community that we need to have. But I don't like this half-ass kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach where it's like, we'll allow it sometimes with the people we like, but then, when somebody else does it, we'll make a big thing out of it. Like, it's just not consistent. So, let's see. Kind of the same thing on this point. What's your opinion on bad faith Islam haters like PBD? Like, I wouldn't trust PBD with the plastic spoon. So if you ask me, what do I think of him? I don't like him. See. We need more videos on Daniel. I don't think so, man. Like, how many videos are we gonna make on him? Like, he's already been exposed for the people who are going to see that he's been exposed. Like, I've had formal debates with him earlier this year for how many hours? Like 8+ hours, and another long informal discussion with him for another 5 hours. Many videos on my side and his side, back and forth. So people can watch the record and see what it is. The guy is just a terrible liar, and he's promoting kufr and shirk and defending atrocities of the Shia and their crazy beliefs and all that kind of stuff. So, like, how many times are you going to kind of repeat the same thing about him? I think it's better off to focus on other things. Doesn't mean I'll never make a video on him if he says something ridiculous that was unprecedented that needs commenting on, or he says something about me specifically, but nevertheless, like, it is what it is, guys. Like, I how many videos are we gonna make, really? You bought my book, Barakallahu Feek. Did you get it yet? Did you start reading it all yet? What do you think? No, see, and this is the other thing. Like, guys, no matter how good in a debate objectively you do, you don't typically, like, I haven't really seen it at all. You don't end somebody's career by doing very well in a debate against that person. realistically, it doesn't happen. Maybe with the Muslims, you won't take that person seriously anymore, even if you did previously. But with their own fans, nah. You're just hoping that there's like a small percentage of them that are not so cooked, that their brains are not so fried that something you say triggers something in them that opens up their heart to Islam. But for the most part, you're not going to get to most of them, even if you make them look like a fool and you prove your point, right? Um, can you explain what eternally begotten means? Can we get a Christian up here to explain it? I can explain it. I've explained it so many times, but just basically means eternal causation. So that, you know, although I think it's gibberish, I don't think it makes sense because I think cause and effect relations are temporal. So there's a before and after to the cause and effect. But it's for them, it's basically eternal causation. So the Son is caused to exist by the Father, but he's still eternal. Basically, it just means he's eternally dependent on the Father. And the same thing with the Holy Spirit. Um, much love to you too, Brother Zach. What do you think of IP using an agrant to solve the LPT? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I didn't see that. I don't really watch these guys' videos typically unless somebody sends it to me or there's something specific going on. Sit down, bro. You need to be posting more often. Your content has taught me a lot. Yeah, I just been busy with the book, and then I was traveling, visiting family. Oh, you said this. What do we think of IP using philosophy of mind to solve the LPT? Go watch my discussion with him and see what I think. It was just really bad, retarded. No, I did not see the actual review. I saw that they were having a review or quote unquote cope session. I mean, the video hasn't even been released to the wider public yet. Unless you're a member, you wouldn't be able to see a member on MDD. You wouldn't be able to see the debate yet anyway. So it's like if you're so desperate, you have to join up with like 5 other of your popular Christian buddies to do a review on the debate that like 90% of the audience hasn't even seen yet, and you want to, you know, poison the well and basically condition your audience to get them what to tell them and try to get them to think the way that you want them to think about the debate. That means you probably don't look really too confident in what happened during the debate. Wa alaikum salam. I don't I've had a few discussions on that. I've discussed it live as well. Which particular video are you talking about, brother? I don't know which one you mean. You missed the Thought Adventure podcast. I know a lot of people do, but I don't. I do not miss talking to atheists regularly, man. Like we did that 2-3 year stint, talked to them a lot, and just I don't know, man. It's just like having discussions with atheists, trying to prove to them that God exists. And then like you have half of them you have to prove to them that they exist first. It's just a headache, man. It's just a waste of time, a lot of, IP was coping today, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure he was. Will you review the Jay Dyer debate? Probably, maybe at some point. But I'll let people actually have the chance to watch it first before I try to condition the audience to get them to think what I want them to think about the debate. Like, come on. Jay didn't do that, so I'm not attacking him. I'm just saying, like, with the IP thing, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, I have no idea when it's going to be public on MDD. In fact, I think let me check. I think they were supposed to release one of because there was a bunch of debates this weekend. I think they were supposed to release one of them, or make one of them public. Let's see. don't see. They're all on members only. Yeah. I don't see anything new yet. So I don't know. Maybe they're not going to do it today. Maybe another day. Can Muslims come up on stage? Yeah, I guess so, because we probably won't get any Christians. Like they just don't want to come up. They're scared. I still have more debates coming up. I got a 10-on-1 debate coming up. Supposed to have a debate tomorrow with Nick, Fearless Truth. And then I have 2 debates with David Wood coming up this weekend. So we'll see what it is. What was the point of Jay posting that 30-minute clip of the debate? Christianity was a failed state of governance that effectively led to modern secularism. What was his point of posting it? I mean, well, it's a debate that he participated in, so presumably he wants people to see it, right? I mean, looks like we have some here. Mo Camera. Let me try to bring this person up. Mo, what's going on?
Assalamu alaikum, can you hear me?
Wa alaikum assalam. Yes, I can. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're familiar with this YouTuber named Vegan Gains, but he recently did a video with Destiny. It's about an hour and like 30 minutes long. And when you get to the 46-minute mark, they start like doing semantics and just start talking about Islam and just talking a whole bunch of nonsense about like Muslims. And Destiny asked Vegan Gains if somebody like if you could eat 100 dogs and in exchange all Muslims are disappear off the face of the earth, would you do it? He was like, oh yeah, I would. And there just nobody ever challenged Vegan Gains about like what like his position, like why does he have so much hatred towards Muslims and Islam. But whenever the topic is brought up, he's always associating Muslims or Islam with like the T word, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was this way, and like Aisha, like. So I was just wondering, like, if you could, like, at the bare minimum, like, do a reaction to that video that he uploaded with Destiny.
Whose channel is it on? Do you know?
So it's on his channel, Vegan Gains, and it's like the most recent video. You can just skip through it, and I believe it starts at the 46-minute mark. And apparently, he's having a debate with Destiny on Islam. And I'm guessing Destiny's on like the defending side, but essentially they're both attacking Islam. Yeah, and nobody has ever really called him out. Like his real name is Richard, and this guy's been on YouTube since like 2012, and he's always like said a whole bunch of nonsense about Muslims and Islam, and nobody has ever challenged him on why, like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I'll try to check out the video. I haven't seen it.
He's not that popular anymore, but at one point he was very popular in the vegan community and whatnot. Like he's a very controversial figure. He's he's like pro abortion, and he's just a really strange. He has a very strange background. At one point, he wanted to film his grandfather dying, but then the ambulance said you can't film your grandfather dying and whatnot. And then
that's weird.
Yeah, but I'd really appreciate it. It would really make my entire year if you could at least at the bare minimum react to his video. And it would be great if you could somehow like have like a debate or a discussion, maybe like put him in his place, because I know you can sort of put him in his place. You have
I
like
mean, I'll check out the video, and if I think it's worth responding to, I will. I mean, I don't know him very well, so I don't know.
he has like over 300,000 subscribers. He live streams.
I just clicked on it. I just saw the video, but I'm saying I don't know if he would be even willing to have a discussion with me. But we'll see.
Yeah, but that's about it. So you said you had a debate with IP, right? Inspiring.
Yeah, that was over the weekend. Yeah, on Saturday.
Okay. I don't want you to like spoil anything, but was it about the typical Islamic dilemma or what was
Yeah,
it?
yeah, that's what it was about. Yeah, but you'll see. I
Okay.
mean, he already reviewed the video. He was. I don't know. He might still be live,
Yeah.
but he was doing
Yeah.
a
I don't know
review of
how
it with like
they.
5 people, and it didn't even go public yet. So it's like, what the hell?
Yeah. What were they like reacting to? Like a
I
picture
mean,
or
well, they
image?
were. You can only watch the video if you're a member on the channel that it was on, Modern Day Debate, and so I guess one of them is a member. I don't know, and they're just playing it from there. But most people are not a member there, so most people didn't see it yet. He's just trying
Yeah.
to, you know, poison the well and tell his own audience what to think about a debate that they didn't
Like
even
damage
watch.
control type of like coping.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, but people can watch it and see what it is.
Yeah. I don't know if you're
Hopefully it comes
aware.
out soon. I
Yeah.
don't know when though.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I don't know if you're aware of my IP where he recently sort of left a comment on. I don't know if you're familiar with that lady who's been going quote unquote Muslim hadith rejector lady that's been going viral. uh he he was like, he was like trying to sympathize with her and saying, if you ever need anyone, if you just, you can like, you can like reach out to us. Are you familiar with the lady called Aya or whatever? She's been going viral
I
lately.
haven't really watched anything from her, but I see that there's a big controversy about it. Yeah.
Yeah, him and like his like companions are like sort of like, liking her videos and leaving comments and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, it was nice talking to you. I appreciate your work. You know what I'm saying, and keep cooking these Christian apologists.
Inshallah. All right. Barakallahu feek. I'll talk to you.
All
Assalamu
right,
alaikum.
awesome.
All right. So that was nice. Nice brother there. I think we have another Muslim here waiting. Khalid. Let me try to. I'm assuming it's Muslim. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. Can you hear me, Sergey?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, 1 minute. I want to minimize the screen so I can read off something. 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay. So, sir, you of course are aware when the church fathers like Justin Martyr use terms like eternal, but he means it in a one way, in a future sense only, right?
Okay.
For example, when he called Christ the eternal priest, but of course, from the context, it seems like he was talking about in the future, not past eternal.
Yeah.
So also in Tertullian, he does the same thing. He uses the word eternal in the same way, in a positive, in a future way only. I want to know if this passage from Irenaeus can be understood in this way as well. It's in book 2, chapter 30. I'm getting it now.
What
Yeah, here it.
by who?
Go.
I didn't hear who's the author?
Irenaeus. Irenaeus.
Oh, okay.
I will pronounce it in the Arabic way. Irenaeus. Yeah.
Mm,
So
okay.
he says, but the Son eternally coexisting with the Father from of old, yeah, from the beginning, always reveals the Father to angels, archangels, and so on. So does this, in the natural reading, supports the eternal generation or eternal personhood of the Son and the coexistence with the Son?
Sorry, can you give me the reference again?
It's book 2, chapter 30, the last section, the very last 4 lines.
Okay, 1 second. Book 2, what chapter?
30.
30.
Yes, the very last 4 lines or 5, depending on how big your screen. Begins with "but the Son, eternally coexisting."
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, he is the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ through his word, who is his Son. Through him, he is revealed and manifested to all to whom he is revealed. For those only know him to whom the Son has revealed him. But the Son, eternally coexisting with the Father from of old, yea, from the beginning, always reveals the Father to angels, archangels, powers, virtues, and all to whom he wills that God should be revealed. So what's the question?
Does this support that? Can Trinitarians use this passage to support their idea of the Son being eternal in his personhood for Irenaeus?
Of course they would try to use that.
But what does it support that in its natural reading, or what do you think, sir?
Well, have you read my? I think you called here before. Have you read my book on this discussion yet?
Unfortunately, it's hard to get it in Malaysia. I'm planning to get it when I get back home.
You can get
Dubai.
a digital copy
No, I'm not aware of that yet. Can you tell me how?
on Amazon. You don't get Kindle. You can't get Kindle.
It says it's not available. Kindle is not available in your region. When I press Kindle on any book, it says Kindle is not available in your region.
Okay. Anyway, Irenaeus is a bit tricky because I'm basically going to summarize what I believe is happening with Irenaeus. Irenaeus is writing at a time where he's inheriting different traditions that don't teach the same thing. So sometimes it seems like he's contradicting himself, and he may even be contradicting himself because he's taking it for granted that the people before him, like Justin Martyr and others, basically had the same beliefs, and they don't. And the second thing is that questions that you would have, or that later Christians would have, or that I would even have, he's not concerned with answering those questions. For example, when he talks about the generation of the Son, he just doesn't want to talk about it at all, just wants to leave it completely mysterious. So the reality is, I don't think that Irenaeus even attempted to answer the question that you're asking.
Yeah. Last time I came, you told me that you believe that he is agnostic on this matter, just like a scholar. You mentioned his name. Because he indeed was. He in book 2, chapter 28, section 6, he said that no man can know how the Father generated or begot the Son, and only the Father and the Son knows how the Father begot the Son. But
By the way,
yeah,
Zach, I'm just saying, just talking to somebody in the back. I clicked on it and it says the video is not available, but just give me a description of what was it about. Was it just me speaking? Was I speaking to somebody else? Like, what was the context of the video? Because I've spoken about Deuteronomy 22 many times. So just give me more detail about it. It was an informational video, not a debate. I don't remember making a standalone video on that. If I did, man, my memory is really bad. But yeah. Anyway, I'll probably make another video on it soon if that'll help, because I will be talking about it coming up here, inshallah. So anyway, you don't have to wait in the back if you don't want. You can go back to just the audience if you want, because I clicked on the link and there's nothing I could do right now. Anyway, continue. What were you saying?
I was saying, may I tell you how I want to read this text, and I want to know your opinion on this, on my approach?
Sure.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned before, Justin Martyr and Tertullian uses word eternal in a future sense, in a one-sided sense. And I went back to the Latin version of this of Irenaeus because the Greek is lost for this chapter, and I went for the Latin word for eternal here, and it is general. It's not like the Arabic abadi, azali, sarmadi. Each one of those in Arabic words mean a specific thing, right? And rather, it's like in the English, it's general, eternal, like that in the Latin. So I could say, but the Son, everlasting, I want to say is one-sided, everlasting, coexisting with the Father. And before that, let's drop the everlasting part. If I say the Son coexisting with his Father, about, for example, me and my father, I coexist with my father. Does it mean that me and my father, or necessarily mean me and my father are of the same age? Or could it have the meaning that since of my born, I was always with my father?
I don't understand the question you're asking, but I don't think the problem is the word eternal. I think what I haven't looked at the Latin for this passage. I don't know if I covered it in my book. I would have to look, but the problem you're going to have with that interpretation is that it says eternally coexisting with the Father from of old, and then yea from the beginning. So it seems like it's talking about the past, not the future.
I see. The thing, what I'm trying to do next is that this relationship, he aligned it with, or he connected with, always revealing the Father to the angels. If this relationship is connected to the previous sentence, then it shouldn't be an eternal past because the angels are not eternal. They are temporal beings. So what I'm trying to do is to connect it with the context, with the after context, to say that this is not really past eternal because the Son was not past eternally revealing the Father because there was no one else to reveal him eternally past. That's what I'm trying to use.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't believe in trying to build an entire case off of one text.
I see. Yes, fair. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
That was my question for this one. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. All right. Let me just remove him. Let me remove Zach. I don't think he wants to talk. Somebody, I'm going to bring you up. I don't know if you're a troll. I don't know who you are. Let's see what it is. Somebody.
No, I'm not sure. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum assalam.
Yes, brother, I've heard that, your book has to do a lot with, Christian theology, like addressing the LPT and the development of Christian theology. But to be honest, honestly, I can't, if the book would be translated, I would have it, but regardless. So, I have a question about the LPT.
If it's translated what? You got to speak up a little bit.
Yeah, translated to Arabic. It's not yet. The book is not translated to Arabic, isn't it?
Not yet, no, but I'm planning on it. Yeah.
Yeah, inshallah. So, the question I'm going to ask is I've read a passage by Theodorus Abu Qurra, who is the first ever apologist who wrote in Arabic against, defending Christianity against Muslim claims, Nestorians, and even niche cults that were in the Middle East back then. So, he mentioned, he has a passage in his Miyamar about defending the, it's not. It's not necessary to be three gods if you believe that three persons are one God. So, I hope I can send it to you, and I would do my best to translate it, and you go ahead and give us your input about it or your answer about his defense. I guess it's the first ever defense against the Muslim claim against the three gods accusation, or the claim that we make like in
No.
Arabic?
He's not the first. That claim existed ever since the 4th century, and the church fathers tried to deal with it at that time. So I don't think.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'll take a
I know
look at it, but I don't think it's going to be anything unique.
Yeah, I mean, the Cappadocian fathers, I know, like, they addressed it. One of the Cappadocian fathers addressed it in not 3 goes. But regardless, I'm talking about, like, Christian will respond to a Muslim. So, like, the first ever, like, claim about the
What's
LPT
the response? I
by a
don't
Muslim.
just summarize it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to read it right now, but I know it's unfortunately in Arabic. So, like, but in general, like, he
Have
gave the
you read
answer
it yet
of,
or not? Have you read it already or no?
I read it, but not fully. Like, cause like he went to some verses. Like, I mean, I did not understand what's the reason behind bringing these verses.
All right. So what
So
you just saying that you're going to send it to me, or I don't know what your question is.
yeah. I just want to send it to you, like, compiled in English. I mean, like, all completely
You
translated
can
in
send it
English.
to me in Arabic. It's fine.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Well,
Like,
did you have anything else, or that's it?
No, nothing.
Okay.
That's all.
You can send it to my email, themuslimmetaphysican@gmail.com.
Yeah, I will, brother. So thank you.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Another person here called. Well, I'll bring up Zachary first because he was waiting. I kicked him. I didn't think he wanted to talk. He wanted to tell me something. So I'm gonna bring him up. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
How you doing, Akhi?
I'm doing great. It's nice to speak to you. I was just gonna. I notice you're like really good at showing the illogical flaws of Christianity and stuff, and like a lot of logical arguments. But I notice like a lot of days, like nowadays, they don't really like criticize Christianity for like the immorality of it. And I was wondering, are you gonna make more videos like related to Deuteronomy 22 and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I'm actually having a debate this coming weekend with David Wood about that exact topic. So the debate is, well, there's 2 separate debates. The first one is the Bible evil, and the second one is the Quran evil. So you'll see a lot of what I have to say there, and then after the debate, I'll probably make some videos breaking down some of the points I was making in the debate, including Deuteronomy 22.
When will this be?
Well, the debate is this weekend, and then I don't know when they're going to make it public. I'll wait until it comes out and then go from there.
That sounds awesome. Okay, I look forward to that.
Inshallah. Wa alaikum. All right, assalamu alaikum. All right. Got somebody here called Brother. Hello.
Hey, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
What's up, Jake?
What's going on?
I just wanted to give my salam. If there's someone in the back, you can just add them. This is the Muslim man.
Oh, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, Habibi. How you doing? How's life?
I'm
How's
good.
everything? How's I guess how do you think you performed? How many debates did you have? Was it today or yesterday?
Saturday I had 2 debates. One was with Michael Jones. The second one was with Jay Dyer. And then I had 2 discussions, informal debates. One with Mr. Avery and then his friend, what's his name? Life. Those were 2 separate discussions.
And tomorrow's supposed to be Nick.
Yeah, but it won't be published until I don't know when. I mean, it's going to be recorded.
Khair, inshallah. I hope he doesn't post what he did last time when he just posted a line of logic.
Yeah. No, I mean, that'll be a waste of time. But that's it with him. And then I'm doing a 10 versus 1. So I'm going to be against 10 Christians on Sean Kelly's podcast. That's going to be on, I think, Friday. But obviously, it won't be released right away.
On what topic?
There's 3 different topics. First one is the Trinity is false. Second one is Tawheed is true, and the third one I think is the Bible is evil, if I recall correctly.
خير إن شاء الله. Sounds good. Sounds good. Allah يوفقك إن شاء الله. It was nice talking to you, inshallah.
All right, assalamu alaikum, bro.
Alaikum salam.
Okay, we got somebody called Back G. I'm gonna try to bring you up. Hello.
Assalamu alaikum, Jake. How you doing?
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Give me 1 second, please. I didn't expect to be up so early.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Jake. Sorry. So, I am aware. I know you just did the Islamic dilemma, and I do believe you're going to be doing it again with someone else. I think. Am I wrong?
No.
Okay. So I know you've done this dilemma. You know it inside and out. And I just wanted to get a few points past you. I know every Muslim has like their own like attempt to like tackle it. They have their own points and views. Like, they talk about, oh, the Injil isn't the whole New Testament, or they talk about like the conscious edits or whatever. But there were a couple points that I've been looking into. I'm sure you've already come across them, but I want to like, just get your opinion on them if that's okay.
Okay. What is it?
So the first one would be more like this might seem obvious, but it's like authorial intent. Like if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like intended to affirm the previous scriptures in the way that the Christians wanted to like, portray it as, I feel like that would have been, quote unquote obvious. I know it's not like the right word to phrase, like way to phrase it. Like if they want to say, oh, the Quran affirms the Bible, but if that means the Bible is true, then that means Islam is false or the Quran is false.
Mm-hmm.
But if I ask the Christian, does the Quran like intend to affirm the Bible? I'm curious, like if what they would say, because if they say yes, I want them. What was that?
They would say yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. If they say yes, the Quran intends to it. That's what I would come in and say. Well, then where does it explicitly rejecting Christian doctrine, page after page, come into play? And I don't want them to just be circular and be like, well, that's the dilemma. I want them to actually explain their position.
Well, their position is that the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, which obviously we won't believe, they believe he or whoever authored the Quran was ignorant of what was in the Bible, and they thought that they were affirming the Bible, and they didn't really know what was in it, and that's why they contradicted it.
Okay, all right.
So that's
I guess. Oh, okay. So is that like a, it's not like, oh, the Quran was revealed, for 23 years, throughout 23 years, just to say like, hey, Paul was right, or it's just like the prophet, like, they claim was mistaken. He tried to affirm this, but he got it mixed up and just ended up, pretty much turning against himself. Is that what they're trying to claim?
Yeah, they're trying to claim that the Prophet thought he was affirming the Bible and their scriptures, but he had things in the Quran that contradicted that, and he wasn't intending to contradict it. He didn't know that he was.
Oh, okay. Then I guess my next point would be, why do we not like um just talk about more like explicit or implicit doctrine? Not doctrine, like statements. Like if the Quran itself, like for example, it explicitly denies Christian doctrine. This isn't like it's not a question. And the whole like if the Quran affirms the Bible but contradicts it, they talk about the contradictions for like just like a split second. They say, all right, it contradicts it. They kind of like sweep it under the rug. 95% of the dilemma is talking about the actual confirmation aspect. But why wouldn't it make sense to like understand the affirmation? Let Allah talk about the confirmation. You and I or the Christians don't decide what the confirmation means. Allah does. So we have to like let the author speak. And if he's, for example, deny Christian doctrine, shouldn't we understand that when he says he affirms the gospel? Like if I ask a Christian, does the gospel that was given to Jesus from the Quran's perspective, did it contain the passion narrative? I'm having a hard time thinking that they would say yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think watching my debates on it, well, obviously, I think my approach is the best approach because the argument that I use, there's no possible way that they can say that the author of the Quran was not intending to disagree with the Bible or to disagree with their scriptures, because the examples that I give are about the Quran abrogating the previous scripture and saying that Allah did reveal something and He does know what was in it. And therefore, while mentioning that, he says, yes, I revealed this before, but you're not supposed to follow that anymore. You're supposed to follow the Quran. So they can't, in my argument, they're not able to respond and say, oh, the prophet was saying something different than what the Bible said without knowing it, because in the examples I give, he explicitly mentions what's there and then says that, no, it's something different now. The whole thing that the Islamic dilemma comes down to is they have certain verses that they read and that they appeal to, and they want to read in as general as terms as possible. And those texts that they want to read generally, we want to specify, and we say, no, there's a context to that. It doesn't mean what you're saying it means, right?
Mhm.
And then in the reverse, the verses that we would use to support that, which we would use generally to specify those other verses, they want to make those specific and say, no, 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 that doesn't really mean what you're saying. So it all comes down to, are the verses meant to be understood? Which verses are meant to be understood general that then specify or give context to the other verses? And they're just flipping the order around. So what I show them is that the very verses that they want to use general language, I show them that they can't, and that they actually have to qualify those verses. And that's the way to go about it.
No, yeah, I agree. I've seen your debates before, and I do see you use that approach, and I agree it's a good approach. And at that point, even when you explain that, I feel like it's still up to them to just keep assuming their position. But they always say, oh, but it still affirms it. It affirms what is with them, and they just keep pointing to the same verses, even when you explain it. Like
Yeah,
this
but
is a
you shouldn't be judging based off of how they respond so much, because they're not honest. They're going to be running this Islamic dilemma, even if they were literally caught on a lie detector saying that they thought it was a good argument and it was shown that no, they're actually lying. They still would run the argument. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I know they need to milk it. No matter how much you explain it to them, they make it seem like every Muslim in the past 1400 years just pretty much missed this. Like it took them 2026, or at least in the last 30 years, they got it right. And I know that's how they want to frame it, but
These
you know,
guys can't even read Arabic, and they're going to come and tell us of over 1,400 year tradition that no, yeah, everybody pretty much got it wrong. It's just stupid.
I know it's at this point just dealing with them. I don't want to just say just forget about it. It's just not gonna go away. We just gotta keep dealing with it how we can. But I want to bring up this one verse in the Quran. It doesn't have anything to do with scripture, but the point is, I believe, I forgot the surah, but it says, I think it's the prophet saying, telling the people of the book to let us come to a common word, and
Yeah,
worship none but Allah, associate none with Him. So if regardless of how they want to internally critique it, they can say if the Quran was trying to affirm the Bible, why is it telling the Christians to leave their doctrine pretty much and come to only worship Allah? I don't know if I've seen anyone discuss that, but I feel like there are verses in the Quran like that we don't always have to appeal to regarding scripture. Like we can talk about like doctrine or Allah specifically talking to the people of the book. It's not just about like the verses of the Torah or the gospel, if that makes sense.
yeah. There's a good hadith to couple with that, which I've been using. I used in my recent debate, where the Prophet, peace be upon him, was giving instructions to one of the companions, Mu'adh, and he was going to Yemen. And when he was going there, he was going to speak to the people of the book. And Mu'adh asked basically what he should say. I'm paraphrasing, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, first invite them, meaning the people of the book, to Tawheed, to worship only Allah, that there's none worthy of worship except Allah. And then he said, and if they accept that, then tell them about their obligation to pray. And then he says, if you see them pray, not just if they accept it, but if you see them pray, then tell them about their obligation for zakat. So the point is, if they were, just like you said about if they were already believing in Allah correctly, then why would they be invited to it? Same thing, and the same thing with salah and zakat. They're being invited to these things, and they're being told about their obligation to them because it wasn't in their scripture, and they weren't following it correctly. So that's in line with what you were saying about the verse.
Yeah, I don't know if I've come across that hadith, but do you have the reference for that? If not, I can find it in some
Yeah,
way.
I'll give it to you right now. It's in Bukhari. I'll give you the number. 1 second. It's mentioned many times, the story, but I'll give you the exact number of that one. Where is it? 7372.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, um, I don't want to be on here too long, and I'm not sure if you have other people, but yeah, that's just that was just a couple points. There's more, but I don't want to be on here too long. I think the a good point, which might be like very simple, is again the Quran explicitly rejects Christian doctrine. I'm gonna hold that part as it's explicit as it gets, and I don't need to rely on them just finding a way around it. Like, just focus on the confirmation verses. I'll just let them do the dilemma. You've done great, Jake. They're dealing with this, and whatever apologist keeps running it. It's whatever at this point. They're just gonna keep doing it. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for talking about me. Um, just keep
All
doing
right.
what you're doing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your efforts.
Well, yeah, I mean, all right. Take care, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Okay. Let me see. There was some super chats, some kind of activity going on. Saddam, Jake, have you watched Hijab and Adnan conversation? Thoughts on it, or will you? I think you meant to say, or will you be doing? Yeah, or will you be doing a reaction video? I think. Let me see. They didn't have like a new one. You're talking about the one that was like a month ago, right? Let me see. Adnan Rashid Muhammad Hijab. Oh man, my time is all messed up. But yeah, it looks like it was about 3 weeks ago. Does that sound right? I think that's the one that you're talking about. I'm trying to recall. I know I think I watched the whole thing. I know I watched a good portion of it. But what are my thoughts on it? Oh, man, it's not really clear in my head because I've been so focused on other things and traveling a lot. But what can I say about it? I think that Muhammad Hijab is trying to do this unity thing, like when he had his discussion with Daniel in the reverse. Daniel kept attacking Adnan, and then Hijab was mostly, although not all the time and not all the time successfully, trying to defend Adnan. Then in the reverse, when he went on with Adnan, he was basically doing the same thing. He was playing devil's advocate with both of them. And I just think it's just what he's doing is very unhelpful. So, but I'm not going to make a reaction video to it. No. Yeah, man. IP already reviewed the debate before it's even to the wider public. Like, how many people have seen it? Only the people that have seen it are the ones that are, or that could possibly see it, are the ones that are paid members to MDD. It hasn't even been released to the wider public yet. And yet you have like 5 of your biggest guys on for support to make it seem like you didn't lose, right? It's like a total cope session. So it's crazy, man. What is this, man? It says 2 joules, 100. I really don't even know what that means. Wallah, I have no idea. But barakallahu feek, I think it's a gift, but because it looks like a gift, I don't know. But I don't know what it is. Unless, whatever. Maybe I'm not seeing it properly. It's probably a new feature on YouTube. Let's see. Jake, assalamu alaikum akhi. How would you explain 547? Can we say that Allah is compatible with us Muslims judging by forgiveness of the sinners or life for a life? I'm not understanding. Could we say that Allah is compatible with us Muslims judging by forgiveness of the sinners? Let me see what's 544. I don't know what you're trying to say, bro. I think maybe say your question another way because it's not clear to me. Let's see, where's Quran? Quran app 544. Yeah, sorry. I don't know what you're trying to say. I just looked at the verse. Life debate. It was like an informal discussion. It was kind of him just asking me questions and me responding with what I think the correct Muslim position is, and then him explaining to me why he thinks it's wrong. Like, he made a big to do about this thing, which was, what was it called? The example he used was he used a couple examples. First example he used was about Musa, not Musa, astaghfirullah, Harun alayhi salam, making the golden calf in the Bible, and the Quran exonerating him from that and saying that no, he didn't do that. And he asked me about that, and then he went into, or somehow we went into, I don't know if I brought it up, we went into it, of Sulaiman alayhi salam, in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah saying that he didn't do magic and he didn't commit kufr. And then he said, oh, and why is the Quran refuting this? Oh, no. His whole thing with that was to say that the Quran is affirming a part of that story, but that story originally comes from, what's it called? The Life of Solomon, or the Prophecy of Solomon? I forget what it was called off the top of my head. But anyway, saying it was coming from like a folkloric tradition, and that yet the Quran was denying that Solomon committed kufr and did magic, but it was saying that the jinn or the devils did. That's what he was trying to say. And he was saying, so it's affirming something that never actually happened. And I said, your assumption is that it never actually happened. How do you know that that part of the story is not true? And he said, oh, because it was from a folkloric tradition. And I'm saying, yeah, according to you, right? And according to many other people. But it goes into the whole point that non-canonical texts, things that are not seen to be canonical scripture, can have parts of the story that they're telling that are true. Just like the New Testament quotes a prophecy or references a prophecy to make a point that comes from the book of Enoch, which he himself does not consider to be canonical scripture. So if many people thought that the stories in Enoch were not actually true, right, and it's not part of the canon, then why is Jude using it to make a theological point about prophecy? You see, like so it's just a silly argument, really. I thought it was silly, but anyway, it was respectful, but it was I didn't think it was a strong point at all. Oh man, that's a great question. I think because people are boycotting modern day debate, most Muslims are boycotting it now, Muslim debaters. And so they probably didn't have anyone else to get, and they picked this guy. Or, you know, I'm not going to go into their motives. I think that's pretty much what it was. Because I think Daniel was originally supposed to debate God Logic, but I don't know if he backed out because he is boycotting or something came up personally for him. I have no idea. Obviously, me and Daniel don't talk like that. But yeah, you know, it's funny. I was literally the only Muslim at the entire event. Literally. So it's completely outnumbered. And you can see that based upon a crowd reaction and how they ooh and ah throughout the debate, right? And how they clap for the other people. So, but I wanted to confirm that. Like I knew I was completely outnumbered. So I said, hey, how many Muslims are there in the audience? And there was only one person. The only person who raised their hand was this, what is his name? Walid guy. And he's a hadith rejecter. So we don't even consider them Muslims, right? And trust me, I used to be a hadith rejecter in the very, very beginning when I first accepted Islam, or thought I did. So I know very well about these guys and what they're up to. And he probably wouldn't consider me or the Sunnis to be Muslims. At the time, I didn't. I thought Sunnis were mushrikeen. Astaghfirullah. So he raised his hand and I said, and this was a memorable part of the debate. He raised his hand and I said, there's only one guy here and I don't even consider him to be a Muslim. And his whole face changed. It's like he got so visibly upset and the whole crowd was like shocked. It's like you could hear a pin drop almost. And then his whole face just visibly changed. He got up and walked out of the room like so pissed. You can't believe it. And then I think he had the next debate after me, and he mentioned it in his debate. Either it was with Jay Dyer or Avery or one of them. I forget who it was with. And yeah, man, I actually kind of feel bad because I don't consider the guy a Muslim, but I wasn't really like trying to make fun of him or put him down. I was trying to make a point to the audience like, hey, there's only one guy that claims he's a Muslim here, and there's nobody else really backing me up. Like, I don't have the room. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, I don't hate the guy. I don't know him. So it wasn't anything personal. It's kind of like for a Trinitarian Christian, if they were to say that in a masjid and only one guy raised his hand, and he said, hey, I'm a Christian. And yet he was a Mormon. Well, according to them, they don't consider the Mormons to be Christians. So rightly so, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, man, the guy was just really upset. So I kind of feel bad. In that sense, I would apologize to him. I still don't consider him to be a Muslim, but I didn't mean it as a personal offense. But yeah, I probably was not the most wise way to say it or to do it, to be honest. Feel bad for the guy. Let's see. Did you notice when the debate other Muslim, they argue that the Quran don't claim to have authority over Bible, but with you they switch? Yeah, they're just all over the place. And I'm going to wind up highlighting this to show how inconsistent and frankly how dishonest they are. Yeah. Dude, of course Daniel's been attacking Adnan. I mean, is that even a question? Everybody knows that that's what he's been doing. Let's see. Jake, for the sake of their dilemma, ask if the Quran affirms Gospel of Thomas because of the story of Jesus blowing life into clay birds, and does it? Yeah, that's basically what their argument is. They would say the same thing about that story, but I'm saying their own Bible does that. It, for example, the book of Jude, you know, references a prophecy from Enoch and is basically affirming it to make a theological point. So if they have a problem with what you just said about the Gospel of Thomas or infancy Gospels, whatever, then they should have a problem with the New Testament doing it, but they don't. So it's just a double standard. Is there a possibility of you changing platforms and not debating on MDD? The guy's extremely biased and blaspheming prophet. Yeah, of course there's a possibility, but the problem is, and this is what we have to talk about, whether we like it or not, the Christians have a monopoly on organizing, moderating, and conducting these in-person debates between Muslims and Christians. So unless we're able to change that, not necessarily maybe to make it all the time, but to have the debates hosted by us, moderated by us, and we're the ones who take care of everything for in-person debates and events like that, then we only have two options. Like the three options are, we keep doing it on their platform, which of course I would like to have it on a Muslim platform. Number two is we try to get people to do it on a Muslim platform. Or number three, we just don't debate these people at all, whether on a Muslim or Christian platform or any platform. So those are the three options, right? But the problem is that the Christians, especially the debaters and the organizers, moderators, whatever, they realize that they have such a monopoly on it that they're not going to accept invitations from Muslims who want to host these debates in person and try to do events like this. Like I know this guy, Rami, what's his name? Khalil, or I forget, is trying to do an event or something like that I saw in Canada with Orthodox Muslim and I don't know, whoever else they're inviting. I hope they're successful. I hope they're able to get people. Of course, they're not going to invite me. But or at least I don't think so anyway. But I think they're going to really struggle to try to get Christians to come to that platform. I hope that happens though. Let's see. Sneeko can help. Get in touch with him. I don't think Sneeko is going to want to talk to me, bro. I've been critical of him in the past, and I know he probably pretty much hates me, so, but that's fine. Even though he's supposed to be love speech. Although I've praised him recently for some of the things he said. Seems to be coming around and starting to realizing that the kuffar are not your friend, bro. Make friends with the Muslims. Stop trying to appease the kuffar. Give them dawah when necessary and when you can, but like don't be looking for them to be buddy-buddy with you because they're always going to let you down. Let's see. Jake, are you self-taught in terms of Islamic knowledge or on you study out teachers? I think I'm trying to get what you say. I guess you're trying to say, or have I studied or do I study with teachers? Of course, some of the things that I had learned about Islam are self-taught in the sense of reading books by myself, but I've had teachers in fiqh and aqidah, and some of the in Quran, reciting Quran, fiqh, usul al-fiqh, aqidah, not as much hadith. But yeah, I have a lot more to learn. I mean, the Islamic sciences are so rich, alhamdulillah. So there's so much to learn, which I'm planning on boosting that up, inshallah, more soon. But yeah, I have studied with traditional ulama, and I've studied with different people. Like earlier on, when I first became a Sunni, and I didn't know as much, I studied with Ash'aris, but I was never an Ash'ari. It never made sense to me. I mainly studied with them in terms of fiqh, because I'm a Maliki in fiqh. And I've had Ash'ari teachers for Quran, recitation. And then when it comes to Aqidah, I've never studied an Aqidah text with an Ash'ari. It's always been with Athari, Salafis. So, yeah. Yeah, Andrew Wilson probably would have used the cousin argument with you. I wish he did. And I'm still planning. I'm actually met him there, and he said that he owes me a debate. He is not running from it or anything like that. He was just overwhelmed with too many other debates. So I'm going to debate him on it, and he'll definitely bring it up. And I'll hit him with the fact that his God in the Old Testament actually commanded it in one occasion. So you can't say that it's inherently immoral or wrong. And in actual fact, his Orthodox Church allowed it in many times in canon law throughout the history, and still has even conducted some, still do even today conduct cousin marriages. So yeah, I would just absolutely obliterate him on that point. I hope he brings it up. Do I think that the Bible contains revelation? If you mean wahi in the sense of verbatim revelation from God, I wouldn't make that claim. No. It contains truth in it, but wahi means, that it's something that can actually definitively be traced back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that it's verbatim correct. If you mean wahi only in terms of meaning, that it has the correct meaning, but it's not kalam Allah in the sense of like Quran or something that verbatim is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. If you mean wahi in the sense of an authentic hadith, which is not even verbatim what the Prophet said necessarily, because a lot of the hadith was translated by meaning and not necessarily verbatim. If you mean in that sense, then it could possibly contain some wahi in this, or revelation, in the sense that there could be some sayings in there that are in meaning correct to what prophets said, or what was, their sunnah or revealed to them in some sense. Why are you Maliki and fiqh? That's an interesting question. Well, when I first became a Sunni, I read a lot of books on Imam Malik, and I became attracted to his usul. I don't know how familiar you are with fiqh, just because I don't know who you are. But the differences between the madhahib in fiqh really comes down to usul and their principles. And so some of them have different principles from each other, or different usul, and others, even when they have the same usul, they might favor one principle over another, or consider it to be stronger than something else. So long story short, I think that the Maliki usul is the strongest. It seems the most correct to me, or makes the most sense. Specifically, for example, on the amal of Ahl al-Madinah, which are basically the deeds or the traditions of the people of Medina early on, the first couple generations. Many of the Sahaba stayed there, of course. And the famous argument is that some left and went to different lands. I understand that. But there were several different examples of things that happened. If you look in the life of Imam Malik, anyway, I don't want to go into too many details, but basically, long story short, because I think Maliki usul is the most correct. But now it's also for practical reasons because I live in Morocco. My wife is Moroccan. Everyone I'm around is Moroccan, and Morocco is actually Maliki in their fiqh, in their constitution. So it's also practical from that standpoint as well. But initially, it had nothing to do with that because it was long before I got married, and long before I went to Morocco. Let's see what else. Said I'd love to see you debate him. I'm looking forward to debating. I think you're talking about Andrew. Let's see what else we got going on here. Sorry, Akhi Jake, I mixed up verses. Basically, what I'm saying is, can we judge by the law of Torah and Injil, like in eye for an eye and forgiveness of the sinners? Yeah, I still don't understand the question. Can we? What does it mean? Can we, as Muslims, judge by the Torah and the Injil? We, as Muslims, are supposed to judge by the Quran wa Sunnah. Now, if the original revelation from the Torah and Injil, that their laws match up with the Quran and Sunnah, then we judge by them. But even in that case, we're not judging by them. We're judging by the Quran and Sunnah, and the Torah and Injil originally just happened to agree with that. But in the places where they disagree in terms of legal matters, the Quran and Sunnah supersede them, and that's what we're judging by. So if you're talking about Muslims, that's the answer. And if you're talking about Jews and Christians, my whole argument is that the Quran requires Jews and Christians to become Muslims and therefore to judge by the Quran wa Sunnah. But yeah, that's the most I can make out of what you're trying to say. Just caught up earlier and saw earlier that you said that we can use the tag argument, but worded a bit differently. But doesn't it not say that logic is grounded in God's mind, and we can't say that as Muslims? Why wouldn't we say that? Of course, we would say that truth and logic are grounded within Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why would we have a problem with that? And especially if you're familiar with my explanation, and I don't want to say my view, but what I think is the correct Islamic view, is that we are conceptualists. So we don't believe universals are in the realm of the forms of Plato, nor do we believe, as Aristotle, that they're in the actual object. We believe that universals are mental entities that exist within an intellect or within knowledge, truth, etc. So in that sense, it matches perfectly with the idea that since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is eternal and everything is coming from him, that it would be grounded within Allah. So I don't know why you would have an issue with that. How do you think I did in that debate? I don't know which debate you're talking about, but I think I did good in every debate. But some better than others, of course. But I don't know which one you're referring to. Can you please debate a Christian scholar on a Trinity? Well, Mullins is one of my friends, and he's one of the professors was one of the professors in my master's program. I wouldn't see debating him. I would debate William Lane Craig, but I don't think a lot of people would want that. Am I going to delete this live after? I don't know. Probably, because we're not getting any Christians on. Condition of Indian Muslims, what do you think can be improved? Well, they're in a difficult situation. They're being persecuted by the Indian government. So, of course, Muslims and Muslim governments have a duty to support them. So that's the first thing. Second thing is everything comes down to education. Just have to be educated with the proper ilm, proper Islamic knowledge. It's not just them, it's for everybody. Somebody called Christian Love just joined. That's an interesting name. Let's see. I don't know who it is. Hello.
Hey, Jake, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Are you a Christian?
Yeah.
Okay. What's up?
Nothing much. By the way, I think we used to talk a while back. I don't know if you remember me, but I followed your work and stuff. But it's been a while we haven't talked. I thought we had like a couple of discussions on the Trinity back on Clubhouse Day. If you remember.
But what your name was Christian Love there? Because that's not
No. It was like Coptic. Like I had many different names, but it was like Coptic. So like sometimes I went by like Coptic Christian, Coptic fanatic, that type of thing.
Okay, rings a bell. Anyway,
Yeah.
what's up? Did you have a question or what?
Yeah, I mean, do you still think, Jake, that there are like logical like there's like a strict logical contradiction with Christian theology?
In terms of what exactly?
Like, for example, when it comes to the Trinity and incarnation, like you would say like these aren't like merely implausible, but they're like strict logical contradictions, right?
Well, I would say the Trinity is three gods. So if you affirm that there's three gods in a sense, then it wouldn't be a contradiction. It would just be polytheism.
I mean, would you say that? Do you have issues with? I mean, because I can respond by saying like maybe according to like Islamic standards, right? It's like polytheism because of God being this multi-personal being, but maybe not according to like the Christian standard of what it means for there to be one God, right? Because like, yeah, I mean, Christianity allows for there to be multiple persons, but yet one existence, one being, right? So maybe like even the Christian can concede that, yeah, according to Unitarians, right, like Muslims, for example, that yeah, according to their standard,
if we count gods in the Trinity by classical identity, would there be three gods?
yeah, but of course the Christian wouldn't apply classical identity in that certain context, right?
Right, but is counting by identity a legitimate way of counting?
I mean, the Christian will come up with a story, right? Like, for example, Michael Ray's Material Constitution story.
You're missing the point. You're missing my point. Is counting things by identity a legitimate way of counting anything?
Well, I mean, there are certain contexts where counting by identity wouldn't be aligning with one's intuition, right?
Like, I didn't ask that, bro. You're not answering my question. I'm asking, is there any context in which counting by identity is legitimate?
Yeah, there is a context where it's illegitimate, yes.
Right. So I'm saying if classical identity is a real relation, and it's sometimes okay to count by classical identity, then when it comes to the Trinity, I can count gods in the Trinity by classical identity. There's nothing preventing me from doing that. It's just your own convention. You would just say, oh, we don't want to count by classical identity because then that would result in three gods. And our religion says that there's only one God, so we have to count by this other relation. There's no logical argument that prevents me from counting gods by identity in the Trinity.
Right. But Jake, what if someone, for example, says the way I count hylomorphic, like material objects in hylomorphism, right? If you have multiple distinct hylomorphic compounds for the same matter, is through relative identity, not classical identity, because that's what my intuition tells me, right? And so if God is that type of object as well, right, where there are these like multiple distinct, we can call it like nemomorphic spiritual form compounds for in the same like spirit, divine essence that serves as like the material sortal, right? And in the analogy of material hylomorphism, in these types of contexts, when it comes to material constitution, I don't apply classical identity because it doesn't align with my intuition of counting objects in that way, right? In that context, right? And so with the Trinity being conceived as that type of object, we shouldn't use classical identity because it doesn't that's not in that context. We don't count by classical identity objects in that way, right? Because of material constitution, like Michael Ray would argue, for example, right? In those particular types of context.
Right. And I'm saying to you that I can count by classical identity, and I can give a story how it makes sense to me.
Sure, and I could concede for you it might make sense, but not for the
Yeah,
Christian,
so that's
for
my
example.
point. Then it just
Sure.
becomes a convention. It's just a conventional matter of I'm counting three gods and you're counting one god by a different method, but you're not giving an argument to why it's impossible for me to count that way. That's the
No,
problem.
I agree that you can. I mean, you can reject like like you can say in all contexts you count by classical identity, right, and reject my story, right,
Right.
and my background priors, right. But then I would say fine. Then we have different background priors, right, and we can view different objects in different contexts in different ways and count them differently, right. But I think like the proponent of the LPT, the logical problem of the Trinity, has some sort of burden to prove that we should count by classical identity in all contexts,
No.
right? For the
No.
Christian.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay. I mean,
No, they don't. They just have to say that it's a legitimate way of counting, and that it can be counted in this way, and that means that the Trinity is possibly polytheism. That's all I need.
but it's possibly also monotheism under the contexts that I also provided.
Correct.
Right?
Under that context, but I don't grant that context.
Sure. I mean, so, but I mean, Jake, what if someone responds
The
by
Christian
telling
doesn't want the Christian response to the LPT is that they want to deny that there's no legitimate sense in which you can count three gods. That's what the burden is for the Trinitarian. I don't have any problem to say that there could be a legitimate sense in which there's only one God in the Trinity when you give your own story, but I don't have to accept, as you said, all of those prior commitments. So the Trinitarian is not going to be comfortable with that. They're not going to say, "Oh yeah, Jake, it's just a conventional, different way of counting," and I don't have an argument as to why you shouldn't be able to count like that. That's not typically how the response is supposed to be. And that's the problem with impure relative identity, is because the pure relative identity view, which denies that classical identity exists, it has a way of denying me my inference, because it says the classical identity doesn't exist, so you can't count by that relation. The problem with impure relative identity is it wants to count another way, right? But at the same time, nothing within its own system excludes counting by identity necessarily. That's the problem with it.
No, I mean, so maybe I would be against a lot of like if Christians take the approach that, like it's impossible for someone to count by classical identity in all contexts, right? Then I would be against that. No, maybe some people have background priors, right? Prior commitments in which they view classical identity as the only real relation, right? That only exists. It's the only relation that exists, right, between objects in the world that we're living in. And if that's the case, then yeah, I mean, but what I would say is that, I mean, for me personally, right, I believe in the material constitutional hylomorphic view of Trinity and material objects, generally speaking, and there are contexts where we apply impure relative identity according to my own background prior that you don't have to accept, right? To offer as a logically possible story, right, to diffuse the logical problem of the Trinity, to provide like a logical possibility, right, that there could be a monotheistic view of the Trinity, right? Applying Michael Ray's material constitution, hylomorphism, impure relative identity strategy there, right? And I don't even need to be committed, right, Jake, to that story. I just have to offer it as a logical possibility.
Yeah, well, I think there's a problem with Michael Ray's position, which, if you've talked to me, we've probably talked about him before, and they're represented in the literature by other Trinitarian Christians. So it's not like I would just stop there. I would argue against what I think are problems with Ray and Brower's view, but to me, that's not even the most important part of it. But anyway, did you have any other question, or?
Yeah, maybe we can. I wanted to see what are your thoughts about also the Christology, the incarnation, right? Do you think it's also a logical problem? Like, do you think there can't be like a solution to the LPI logical problem of the incarnation, or?
I think it really depends. So, I mean, it depends what the person's constraints are. If they're trying to hold to, well, I think you said you're Coptic, right? You're Oriental.
That's correct. I'm Oriental Orthodox.
Yeah. So, it depends. It depends what if they're if they believe in Chalcedon and they are against any form of canonic Christology, then I think there's going to be problems. But I don't know if I would say a strict logical contradiction. I think most of the time what happens is it winds up leading into metaphysical problems.
Oh, okay. So you would say that, yeah, you don't believe that there's like an LPI, logical problem of incarnation, but like metaphysical issues that you might not.
No, there's a logical contradiction, but then the attempt to absolve the contradiction, goes different ways. For example, if you hold to a canonic view and you say, "Oh, God literally emptied himself and divested himself of his divine attributes, such that when he was on earth, he was only potentially divine, or not actually," then there's no contradiction there. But now you are, in my view, and I think from a classical Christological point of view, you're just
a heretic,
taking a heretical view.
Right,
So
right.
You can take a heretical view. You can become a Nestorian. You can, like Craig, you can be a Neo-Apollinarian.
Yeah.
Like, there's ways to quote unquote solve the problem, but I think they're going to result in heretical metaphysical issues.
No, I meant like the logical problem of incarnation, the logical problem of orthodox classical Christological views, right? Like, which would include both Chalcedonian and
I don't
Oriental
think that any of them avoid logical problems and heresies at the same time. I think it's one or the other.
Well, what about the Jake, the compositional model, right? Let's say, for example, just generally speaking, you have a composite object that can have multiple different aspects to it, that can even have contradictory properties, but that wouldn't necessarily result in a logical problem because it refers to two different aspects of one and the same object, right? So that seems so. Like, for example, let's say you take like a substance dualist view of human beings, right? So that a human being is composed of both body and soul, right? And so you could say like a human being is both immaterial and material, but that doesn't result in a contradiction because the immaterial property refers to the soul aspect, whereas the material property refers to the body aspect of one and the same human being. And so likewise, Jesus Christ, being a composite being, can have multiple different aspects, a divine aspect and a human aspect, right? And the contradictory properties would refer to two different aspects of one and the same being, right? Not referring in the same respect to the same aspect, right? Jake, what do you think of that?
Yeah, the problem is that those models are typically necessarily going to lead to a two minds or two consciousness view, and I don't see how that is going to avoid Nestorianism.
Well, what if someone takes the view like, oh, you have a composite mind, because the mind is an object, and so maybe the mind is as well like a composite mind that has different aspects to it, like a divine aspect or a human aspect, right? So like, like God being all-knowing, that refers to the divine aspect of that composite mind not being all-knowing, right? Jesus Christ, that refers to the human aspect of that one composite mind, as an example.
I just don't think it's going to avoid Nestorianism, even if it's one mind that has two different I-thou relationships. If the aspect of the divine mind can say that I'm omniscient, and the aspect of the human mind cannot, and they stand in an I-thou relationship pointing at each other, then I just don't see how that's not two persons.
Or it could be the case that, I'm both omniscient and not omniscient, right? So there's this one I, maybe, right? And so the one I says, yeah, I have divine mental properties. That's why I'm omniscient.
Then you are back to a strict contradiction.
Well, but because you can have an object that can have two sets of properties, right? With that, because it refers to different aspects, right?
No, you can't have a single mind that knows everything and doesn't know everything. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, so I mean, this gets into like the philosophy of consciousness, which can, I mean, consciousness is a very, very tough thing to even conceive of, right? But I'm treating it as like an object that can be a composite object, right? Like any other object that can be composite, right? If that's the case, then it can have multiple
Yeah, but
different aspects.
they either have access to each other or they don't.
Hmm.
The person either has access to through the human aspect of the mind to the divine, or he doesn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he would have access to both aspects, right? Of the
Okay, then he
mind,
couldn't
right?
be. Then you couldn't say that if he had access to it. Then you couldn't say that he was not omniscient.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say he's both omniscient because he has that divine aspect, and not omniscient because he has that human aspect, right? But these are going to be two different aspects of
But
the composite
how
object.
does that even work? Are they both switched on at the same time?
Yeah, sure. So sort of like you, Jake, being like both material and immaterial, right, at the same time, right?
No,
Well,
it doesn't work when it comes to knowledge. That's the point. Either the mind, because if it's a single mind with two aspects, okay, so it's like one circle with cut in half, let's say. The person himself either is a currently, meaning at that moment, knows all facts,
yeah,
or he doesn't. You cannot say that he knows all facts and he doesn't know all facts at the same time.
right.
It's like one part of the mind would have to be switched on at one time, and then the other one is switched on at the other time. So then he's not really both at the same time.
Well, what if so what if Jake, someone adopts you know, what some philosophers have called the divine pre-conscious model, where you have functional canonicism but not ontological canonicism, right? So that, you know, at a certain time, right, you have the divine mental properties invading,
It's a heretical view. It's heresy.
Functional I think ontological canonicism is the heretical view, not functional.
They both are.
Oh, they both are?
Of course. To say that God's knowledge went from being the divine mind went from being a currently omniscient to just merely potentially. That's not, you can't hold that view. That's heretical view, because you're saying now that God's mind or God's knowledge changed.
Well, it still exists, but in the pre-conscious part of the mind.
Yeah,
not
but
in
it's not a current. That's the point. If you look at, even for example, what Saint Cyril says, there are several texts by him. I'm basically paraphrasing, but there's one that no, even as a baby in swaddling cloths, he was controlling the entire universe. So it's not that it's not this idea that there was a switch off and that he, you know, some of his divine properties like omniscience or omnipotence or etc. went from merely potentially, you know, being activated. No, they were active.
Yeah. Okay, Jake, I wanted to ask you, so ignoring the heretical part of the divine pre-conscious model, let's just assume for the sake of this that it's not heretical, right? Would you then say there's still a logical problem with it?
No.
Oh, so you would say the divine pre-conscious model solves, right?
There's, as I explained before, there can be many models that are heretical that are sound, but they're just heretical.
Right. Okay, and Jake, okay, one last thing I would say, because I might be taking a lot of your time, and thank you so much for that conversation. What if someone, for example, you know, for Christology, does like something like he says, okay, let's say there are two particulars, right? A divine particular and a human particular, which is Nestorianism, right? If you say that Christ is two particulars in a way, right? A divine particular and a human particular, because a person is just like a particular of a rational nature, right? Or individual substance. Rational nature, according to Boethius' definition, all of the Latins definition, which I think is very, very intuitive to define a person in that way, right? Well, what if what if you say like, oh, okay, you have these two particulars, but we're going to count them as one because they're undivided. You count like by division, for example. You're going to apply like maybe Branson's relative identity theory of counting by division in Christology, not for the Trinity, but for Christology, right? Where you say like, okay, so the two particulars, because they're undivided, right? We're going to count them as one particular, even though there's still a distinction between them.
So what's the question? Sorry.
Yeah. So would you say? I mean that. So in that case, you would still have Orthodox Christology there, because you would have Christ being fully divine, fully human, but yet one particular being counted as one particular, right? And that wouldn't really result in a logical problem there, right?
I guess I'm not following. Sorry, I was looking at a message.
No,
Explain.
okay. Do you want me to repeat again? Do you want me to explain it again? Or
Yeah, because I wasn't.
yeah. So let's say you have Christ. Let's say there are two particulars, right? Like a divine particular and a human particular in the case of Christ, right?
Yeah.
And let's say they're undivided, which Orthodox Christology dictates, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you count particulars by division, for example, so that these two particulars are going to be counted as one particular, right? And let's say you count set of properties, right, or universals by identity, so that you would have one particular and two sets of properties. That wouldn't result in a heresy, right? Because you still have the two sets of properties, one particular, right? And that wouldn't result in any logical issues. Now, when it comes to the knowledge, because now you would get to the knowledge thing, right? Yeah, you would have to. Maybe there are two particular minds, right? But they're counted as one mind because they're undivided.
I mean,
and you count minds by division. Let's say you count minds by
you
division.
can make anything up about how you count count things, of course. But the point is that I'm still going to make an argument about why I think that they're two persons and why it's not going to work. You know,
but I think, Jake, if you have multiple particulars that are undivided, the intuition here says that we should count them as one particular because they're undivided, right? They're united in a way. And so wouldn't there be...
okay. Why would I believe that? And especially you as an Oriental Orthodox, if it was so easy to say that, then you wouldn't have an argument against Chalcedon.
Actually, I think like what I just stated works really well for Miaphysitism, Christ having one nature, because the two natures are going to be counted as one nature, right? The two particular natures are going to be counted as one particular nature, right? That has two sets of properties. So actually, I think that what I just described, actually, I think it works even more for Miaphysitism than Chalcedonian Diaphysitism, right? Because the two natures are going to end up being counted.
They don't say that the two natures are separate.
Yeah, but they count. But the two natures are particulars, right? Particular natures, right? And
so that's what you just said. So they can just say the same thing. They can say they're They would normally, if you count by identity, be two particulars, but we count them by identity, by division, and they're not divided.
Yeah. But if they count the two particular natures by division, counting them as one particular nature, well, that goes against the counting of Diaphysitism of there being two natures. Right, because now they're going to be
but that's my whole point. Then it's just a verbal difference.
Sure, and then at this point, I mean, a lot of modern day Copts, right, and Chalcedonians actually do say that it's just a semantic difference, right? That, you know, like what happened in Chalcedon, right, 1400 years ago was like, miscommunication. All politics was injected into that. And so, I mean, there might not really be much of a distinction there. I don't really like to go into like Chalcedonian, non-Chalcedonian Christological differences, right? That much. But what I just wanted to say is, well, Jake, and if someone has like a background prior commitment like myself, where there's a situation where you have multiple particulars being undivided, and there's this intuition to count that as like one particular, right? By counting particulars by division, you would say at this point, then there wouldn't be any logical problem for that individual who has these background priors, right?
I don't think the problem is in counting them. I think the problem is in the metaphysical mechanics of it, as we went into earlier about the knowledge.
Yeah. So okay, with the mind thing. Okay, so then we could also apply that to the mind. So you would have two minds being, because they're undivided.
I'm listening. I'm just gonna get my charger. But go ahead.
Oh yeah. So with the mind thing, we can say minds are also like you have two particular minds, right? But then I can say, well, because they're undivided, we will count them as one particular mind, because it aligns with my intuition that if you have multiple particulars being undivided, we count particulars by division, in a way. So that the two particular minds are counted as one particular mind because they're undivided.
1 second.
Oh, okay. Did you hear me, Jake? Or do you want me to repeat?
I heard you.
Okay.
Yeah, as I said, you can make up any story about how you want to count things. You can come up with your own criteria.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So
it's obvious.
So
anyway,
I was
Jake, I was waiting. So
Okay, can I say something? So then, Jake, you would say for me, for with my background commitments and the stories that came up, that does seem to be plausible to me, right? You would say then, yeah, I hold to Orthodox Trinitarianism and Christology without there being logical issues for me, right?
I don't know what you believe, but people can believe whatever they want. They can say, well, it makes sense to me that I think that, let's say, dialetheism is true.
Hmm.
I mean, so what? I mean, in philosophy or these things, people can come up with any story that they want and say, oh, I think it makes sense. But
Yeah.
is it going to be convincing to other people? That's another story.
Right. And Jake, yeah, okay, I know you have to go, so I'll go as well. Thank you so much for that conversation. Are you angry or mad at me or anything? I hope we had a really good conversation there. Because I really like you. I enjoy your work and all
No, I'm
that.
not mad at all. I'm just have somebody else waiting, and we've been talking
Awesome.
for
All right. So maybe we'll talk later. All right. Take care. And
All
God
right,
bless you,
take
sir. Thank you.
All right, take care. Somebody called AK. Let's see.
All right, good evening. I just want to ask, like, how's your like recent debate with Michael Jones?
I think it was good. Why? In terms of what exactly?
I feel like it's kind of like I feel like I don't know. I just feel like there are points in which you could have like made things a little bit more clear about what you wanted to talk about. I feel like
Did you
if you want, like, if they ask like what
watch it?
yeah, I watched it, and then like he said, like, do you
How did
believe in
you watch
corrupt
it?
scriptures? I watched a live stream, right? And then like Michael said, like, do you believe in corrupted scriptures? And it seemed
No. Hold on a second. How
yeah.
did you watch the stream?
When I watched him on his own, like
On his own what? What are we talking about?
he has a live, it's recorded on his channel on
Okay.
IP.
Yeah, but he didn't play you the debate. He just played certain sections that he wanted you
Other
to hear.
people discussing. Like it was him and a bunch of like with David Wood,
I
Avery, all of them were
understand that.
doing.
I'm saying to you, you did not watch the debate. You watched certain sections that they played on their live stream, correct?
I mean, it seems to me that like whatever they played on
Yes
their
or
live
no?
stream.
It's a yes or no. Anyway, it's a yes or no. You didn't watch the whole debate. You watched certain clips that they played for you.
No, I didn't fully watch it, but I watched
Yeah,
enough to
that's
know
fine.
what's going on. Though I watched enough to know what's going on.
Okay, let's see if you know
Yeah.
what's going on. So what was going on?
Yeah. So basically, he was basically like putting together like the typical Avery talking points, right? Like whether you believe in corrupted scriptures and like the basic makes it
Basic
so
what?
that
You're cutting out.
you could even have anything that's reliable. Like my Wi-Fi isn't very good, so bear with me. But he said something like, uh, if you believe in corrupted scriptures, then how can you trust that the Bible proves it? And if you have if the Bible confirms the Quran and you think the Bible is corrupted, then you have no basis to base the Quran off of, and that's what he thinks is working. So
Yeah, that's a stupid argument. I've been through that many times. We have independent reasons for believing that the Quran is true.
yeah, and I feel like you could have addressed. There was one time he said whether you believe that the Quran, if like just like affirms the true parts of the Bible, you could have just said yeah, okay, because
What are you talking about?
something about the Bible that most people like don't really think about, then it proves that part is true. You could make it that way and you can just easily break the dilemma.
I didn't even hear what you said. You cut out.
I'm saying that like you could even like when Michael asked you whether you can just use the Quran to prove the true parts of the Bible, you could just said yeah.
I don't.
If it
What do you
makes
think
some,
I said? What did I say to? What was the question and what did I say?
he asked whether you could use the Bible to use the Quran to prove the true parts of the Bible.
Yeah. So what?
You didn't say yes. You should have
What
just
did I
said
say?
yes.
What did I say?
You said something more like, something like that. But
You cut out. I didn't hear what you said. What did I say?
you didn't say you didn't just say yeah. You said something else that I don't quite remember, but it doesn't seem like it didn't seem like a very good answer.
Okay. Well, I'll say that your Wi-Fi sucks, and you don't seem really like you know what you're talking about, to be honest, because you didn't watch the debate, okay, and you watched some portions from it, and if I had to guess, I don't think you're even probably a Muslim, to be honest. Mr. Christopher Lynn. Nice try, buddy. Christopher Lynn. You're not a Muslim. Nice try, buddy. Okay, let's see. That was some nonsense. Let's see. Somebody else. I guess these are gifts. These are cool. I don't know really enough about them. 400 jewels, eagle. Barakallahu feek. And 10 gold coin. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Let me just see. I don't have anyone else currently waiting. So if nobody comes in the next few minutes, I'm just going to end the stream because we've been going for about 2 hours. Somebody, you're back, bro. I don't know what you're back for. I'll bring you up again, but I kicked you out because I don't know what you're here for. Assalamu alaikum.
Brother, I messaged you. I mean, I was just trying to message you personally, like, because I can't access the YouTube direct messages. That's why, like, I use this one. But I did not intend to come to this, but like, I did not intend to come, like, to talk to
You
you.
can't watch the
I
video on YouTube.
no, you know, in YouTube, you know, like you can't write, you know, like if you are not like a subscriber from, like if you are like direct monetizer from like your YouTube. Sh- 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 I don't know. I mean,
I don't
to be
know
honest,
what you're
brother,
talking.
yeah,
I don't know what.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, regardless, you know, I've sent you the thing that I told you
Yeah,
about,
I
you know,
saw it. I
about.
sent you the email, so I don't know what did you want to talk about.
Yeah, I said like, did you receive it? Like in
I
the
didn't check
in the
yet.
site.
I'm still online, brother. I
Yeah.
haven't been looking at my
Yeah,
email.
sorry. That's why I thought you have maybe you have like you had misunderstanding. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to you later, man. Thanks. I'm kicking this guy again. I don't know what's the deal, bro. Like, I sent you the email. You sent it to me. Okay. I'm not gonna look at it now on the live stream. Come on, bro. 550 joules. Stay hydrated. Actually, I'm kind of thirsty and it's hot as hell here in Vegas. So that's a good point, bro. We need to stay hydrated out here. Let's see. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. It's getting late here anyway. Been on for 2 hours. Yet again, we can't get Christians to come, except we got one, which whatever. It was a fine conversation. But they just don't want to come to these live streams, man. They'll go to everybody else's, but they don't want to come to this. So anyway, Barakallahu feek. Look out for the content coming soon, inshallah. Christian love, bro. I don't know why you keep coming back. I'm kicking you out. Stop coming back up here. You can come back another time. I'm not talking to you further. I said I'm ending the stream. So anyway, look out for the debates. I'll be posting them on my channel once they go public. and then we'll take it from there. Barakallahu feek. If you want to support the channel, make sure you hit the like. Make sure you subscribe. We got the old channel back, so make sure you subscribe. Tell people that Jake got his old channel back. If you want to go above and beyond and support my channel and the work I do, then the best ways to do so are at the links pinned at the top of the description of this video and will be in the comment section as well. And check out my new book if you haven't already. It's available on Amazon, and it's also available on my own website, Making of the Trinity, From Christ to Constantinople. Focus on the historical development of the doctrine of the Trinity, not necessarily the philosophy and LPT and all that kind of stuff. It's on the historical side. It's nearly 600 pages, but you can go through it slowly. And inshallah, I think it's good. Obviously, I wrote it, so check that out. And anyway, guys, I'll see you all again next time, inshallah. But until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.